Welcome back. Just occasionally in broadcasting, you get told, you get a phone call and they say, can you do us a real favour? I'm in a real pickle. I really need you to help me sell my book. Piers Morgan, good morning. Hey!
Thank God I've got the Kyle 10-minute slot, because otherwise I don't know where I'd be in life.
We go back a long way. We can't possibly tell you how far we get back. This is brilliant, though. This station's all about common sense, and what it's always talked about, and you and I have talked about repeatedly, is the wokerassery. These people. I was thinking of you this morning, before I talk about the book. There's a woman, right, in Richmond who was about to jump on a bus and had a cup of coffee in a non-disposable cup, so she poured it down the drain, and 3 enforcement officer issued her with a £150 fine for soiling the road. It was rescinded an hour after we did the story.
It's ridiculous. I mean, you know, to me, the point of the book is woke is not actually dead yet, and we see enough examples sprouting up, but it's interesting how everyone's now reacting when it does. Before, everyone felt terrified and had to go along with all this nonsense. But you look at what happened, say, to Graham Linehan, the comedian who got arrested for some jokes he put on X, arrested by 5 armed police at Heathrow. But the reaction was so furious from the public this time, rather than saying, oh, quite right, he should be put in a cage for cracking a joke. Actually, people went, no, this is completely wrong. And the police not only said we're dropping the case, we're no longer going to prosecute anything like this again. Well, hallelujah. So when I say woke is dead, it's because of that kind of reaction now to stuff that 2 years ago would never have happened like it is.
And I think that reaction is because the silent majority, and I put this across the whole thing, right? The silent majority... This country's always done everything by everybody. When you look at the stuff in the news today, the 1 in 48 back in, when you look at the grooming gangs, the rape gangs in Korea, I think the silent majority have gone, hold on a second, I've always lived my life correctly. There are balmy decisions being made and I'm missing out. I think the people have discovered, I think what this book does is say that the British public have found their voice, doesn't it? It's common sense.
Well, they found that they've lost their fear of expressing their opinion. Now, this country, to remind everyone, is a free democratic society. You know, Winston Churchill led this country in a war against the Nazis to safeguard our freedom of speech and expression, never mind other freedoms. And yet here we got ourselves into a place where woke, which began in a perfectly laudable way in the 60s in America, in black music, African-American music, it was designed to raise awareness for social and racial injustice. By that criteria, we'd all happily say we're woke, right? We all want that. But then it got hijacked, like so many of these things do. And it became this really puritanical, censorious, cancel culture-led nonsense. And in a way became the complete opposite of liberalism. So these people claim they're liberals, but actually start behaving like the very fascists. That if you ask them who are the worst people in the world, they say fascists. But they became the new fascists. If you don't conform to my way of thinking, if you don't enjoy the movies I like, the TV shows I like, the jokes I approve, if you wear anything that's culturally inappropriate from my standpoint, and so on and so on and so on, if you don't think it's right that men compete in women's sport, then we're going to not just shame you and vilify you and campaign against you, we're going to destroy you.
And to be fair, without going into detail, both you and I went through that and came out the other side. And the truth of all of that is everybody, you made the point. I mean, my big bugbear at the moment is all those women who quite rightly talked about women's rights, the vote, and all of that, which I agree with. I don't hear a word when a migrant rapes the 17-year-old girl on Bournemouth Beach where I live and the judge says, well, it was an aberration and he needs to live in the United Kingdom. Forget the girl. You talk about the transgender argument with toilets. I don't want my teenage daughter changing in a room where a man in a dress has a penis. But I don't hear any of those women, Piers, coming out and defending that teenage girl or the girl on the beach. It's completely wrong.
And, you know, we all remember when Keir Starmer finally got to 99.9% of women don't have penises.
I watched the interview you did with him.
I'd love to meet the other 0.1%, but I've interviewed 2 other political leaders, Zach Polanski, the Green Party guy, Ed Davey, Lib Dems, right? And neither of them was prepared to say that a woman doesn't have a penis, right? And you're like, how has this happened? In 10 years' time, people will look back at this period in history and they'll think we lost our collective mind.
Yes, marbles.
And what I want with this book, I say, Woke is Dead, How Common Sense Triumphed in an Age of Total Madness. And the catalyst for the fight back actually came through the unlikely source of Donald Trump. I do believe his re-election in America was an utter repudiation of all this woke nonsense.
Couldn't agree
He
more.
was strong about the economy and immigration, yes, but actually he just came out and said, you know what, if I'm president, we're not going to have biological men competing in women's sport. Sorry, now...
Two genders,
and
it's
by
the
the way,
laws.
it doesn't make you transphobic. It doesn't mean you want hateful things to happen to trans people. I want trans people to have the same rights to fairness, equality and safety that I enjoy. But I don't want women's rights to fairness, safety and equality eroded in the process. That shouldn't be difficult to process.
I couldn't agree more. Out today, Woke is Dead.
It's out tomorrow, actually. Today. Today is publication day.
See what happens?
It's today. I've lost my marbles.
Let's do that again. Let's just cut that out. Out today then, Piers.
It's out today.
And where is my copy?
You can buy it in all good bookstop.
You can't even say shop, man.
It was my launch party last night. You bailed on me.
I didn't bail on you. I was in bed at 8 o'clock dealing with whatever.
I know.
Oh, that didn't sound right, did it? So you'll give me a copy. It is, by the way, in honesty, we talk on this station about common sense the whole time. This book is absolutely fantastic. How Common Sense Triumphed in an Age of Total Madness. You can get it on all good bookshops, online in Amazon, and he's making so much money. Can I just finish with this? I had Nigel Farage on earlier because Donald, overnight, has done only what Donald could do. I'm not building a balcony or a putting green like Eisenhower. I'm tearing down the entire East Wing, and I'm building a £300 million ballroom, and I'm going to pay for it so you can shove it where the sun don't shine. I said to Nigel Farage, if you got into number 10, would you build a ballroom? He said, I just want a good chef that will cook me a nice lunch there. Donald Trump has changed the world, hasn't he?
He has, and you know what? What is wrong with building a brand new ballroom? Why should the White House always remain exactly the same as it's always done?
Hillary went. It's not his house. It's your house. He's ruining our house.
Well, I don't think she's in any position to lecture anybody about what went on in the White House.
Before we go, Paul says, would Piers want to be an MP like Clarkson?
Well, there is a campaign, PM for PM. It has got a good ring to it.
For reform?
No, you know what? I would never actually run for political office, but I'm a journalist. But I do look at the mediocrity currently across the board in British politics. It's no surprise that someone like Farage, who's a great communicator, is getting the traction he's getting. The general level of politicians in this country is awful. And I think we've got to look at this and think, why don't really smart, capable, successful people who've achieved in other things in life, why don't they want to come into politics anymore? Because that's what we miss. In the old days, the cabinet would be full of successful people.
Couldn't agree more. I never thought I'd have to. I've got to cut you off. It's a brilliant book. Woke is Dead. Piers Morgan, out today. This is Talk.
Thank you, man.
Oh, I'm carrying on. Oh, that's brilliant. How did that happen?
Oh, wow.
Am I not sending him off?
Happy days.
Oh, you said 4 minutes. Oh, right, OK. Hi, Piers Morgan. You've got a book out today. Jesus, it was all going really well. Yes, good. I don't quite know what to do now.
I can keep talking if you like.
I've got something. Most presidents build a library as their legacy. Donald Trump leaves a ballroom. He's a one-off. What a great one-off. Wouldn't we love to borrow him? This is great from Zarina. Trump might be American, but remember, he has the heart of a Scot. Hence, he does it his way.
Well, actually, very interesting point, because this is why he's got this abiding love for this country and for the royal family. You know, I tell the story that he rang me the morning after the state dinner recently, and he loved it because the royals treated him with great respect, with the King, the Queen, you know, William and Kate. Everyone was really, you know, good to him. And we were talking about the fact that his mother, who was Scottish, who was born and raised in Scotland until she was 18, then went to New York and met his dad. That television first came out in the early 50s, and he remembers his first memory was watching the Queen's coronation in 1953 on a little TV that they'd first got. And he sat with his mum, age 6, Donald, watching, and saw how enthralled and enraptured his mum was. Because I said to him, just on a personal level, President Trump, I said, for you to have 2 state visits, to be greeted by the Queen, that you watched the coronation on the little TV when she was in her mid-20s and you were 6, and then now by her son, the King, unique double state visit.
Won't happen again.
I said, you know, your mum would be incredibly proud of this. And he was really quite moved by it all. And why does that matter? Because it means he thinks better about this country. Why does that matter? Because it comes to when things like tariffs and his global tariff war, we get a better deal than most other people. It means that he looks upon us as an ally and someone he can work with. That is the way you do transactional politics in the world. People may not like it. They may not like Trump. But I defy them when I say to people, all right, you don't like Trump. And I like him personally. I don't like everything he does. I criticise him.
Same as me.
When he deserves
Absolutely
it.
right.
However, if you look at Trumpism and what he stands for, I wonder how many of your listeners, viewers right now, if you said, look, if you've got a leader in this country who believes in a strong border and will deliver on protecting the border, who believes in tougher punishment for serious crime, who believes in engaging in fewer foreign wars, who wants to reduce your taxes, not raise them, and so on, and wants to get rid of the woke nonsense and actually preserve women's rights in sport and so on. If you said you had a leader like that, they win by a landslide.
That's why Nigel Farage has his finger on the pulse.
But he's
That's
got a chance. Farage's problem is the economy. He's got to sort out his
very
economics.
quickly, the Jeremy Kyle testers. Does Piers believe that Nigel Farage will be the next Prime Minister, yes or no?
I think he's very weak on the economy. So he's strong on immigration and issues like that and crime and wokeism, to be fair to him, but he's weak on the economy. He's got to sort that out.
Will Starmer lead the Labour Party into the next election?
At this rate, highly unlikely. In fact, I think the tipping point could be the May local elections.
Are the Tories done for good?
No, not done for good. And actually, I thought Kemi Badenoch made a good speech in her conference week, which made me think she may not be political toast after all. But they've got eroded so much goodwill over the years they were in power.
And will that book, Work is Dead, be a #1 bestseller?
This will be a massive global bestseller if your glorious listeners and viewers
5,
right now
4,
get on Amazon,
3,
order it,
2,
and help
1.
keep me in the lifestyle.